Every night he comes home to the same loving wife, who kisses other men right in front of him. He smiles. He stays silent until her lovers start vanishing. One by one. No body, no trace. How far will a man go when love becomes deadly? This is not a love story. It's a warning. The story opens with a man named Jack riding his bicycle home along a quiet forest path. When he arrives at his house, he finds his beautiful wife, Rosie, sitting silently on the staircase, simply watching him as he approaches. Concerned, Jack asks her what's wrong. Rosie offers only a faint, almost mysterious smile, then stands up without a word and walks into her bedroom, leaving Jack standing there puzzled. Later that evening, Jack and Rosie take their young daughter, Trixie, to the babysitter's house. After dropping her off, the couple begins preparing for a party they have been invited to. As Rosie gets dressed, Jack gently and lovingly helps her put on her shoes. To anyone watching, the scene radiates deep affection and intimacy between husband and wife. But very soon, the truth behind their relationship will be revealed. At the party, they mingle with many friends. The atmosphere is lively until another man, John, arrives. The moment Rosie sees him, her face lights up. She greets him warmly, says a quick hello, and immediately walks over to join him. Jack observes all of this in silence, showing no outward reaction. Not long afterward, Rosie and John leave the party together and disappear to be alone. From outside a window, Jack watches as Rosie and John begin kissing passionately. He stands there for a moment, expressionless, then simply turns and walks away. The reality is that Jack already knows everything about his wife's affairs. By now, most of their mutual friends are also aware of the deeply troubled and toxic nature of Jack and Rosie's marriage. One of Jack's close friends, Mary, pulls him aside and asks directly, "You know exactly what's going on, so why are you still staying in this relationship?" Jack answers calmly, "Rosie can do whatever she wants with her life. I have no issue with that. If I truly wanted to, I could end this marriage tomorrow, and she knows it perfectly well." He pauses, then adds more softly, "But the truth is, I love her very much. I don't want our family to break apart. I still believe that one day Rosie will finally understand how deeply I love her." Later that evening at the party, Jack takes a drink from the bartender and heads toward a quieter room. John follows him inside. With brazen confidence, John smirks and says, "I just wanted to thank you for your wonderful hospitality, Jack. Honestly, you're incredible. Most husbands would lose their minds seeing their wife with another man. But you're something else entirely." Jack remains silent for a few seconds, then asks quietly, "Have you ever heard of Martin?" He continues, "Martin was also a very close friend of Rosie's, just like you. Always around her, always chasing after her. Then one day, in a moment of rage, I killed him. I smashed his head in. To this day, no one has ever found his body." John's cocky expression vanishes. He tries to laugh it off, saying, "You're joking, right?" Jack looks at him steadily and replies, "That depends entirely on how you choose to take it." John's face turns pale. Without another word, he hurries out of the room and leaves the party. Rosie notices him rushing away and tries to stop him, but John makes up a quick excuse and disappears. After the party ends, Jack and Rosie drive home together. In the car, Rosie asks, "What did you say to John? Why did he suddenly leave like that?" Jack answers smoothly, "I didn't say anything that would make him walk out in the middle of a party." The next morning, Jack drops Trixie off at school. As he's leaving, one of his friends approaches him with a grin and teases, "So, you're into murder now? Everyone's talking about it." Jack laughs lightly and says, "Maybe." Then he adds, "John went around spreading it. I was just messing with him, but the poor guy actually got scared." Later, two more friends ask him the same question. Each time, Jack gives the same casual explanation. It was only a joke. But when Rosie hears that Jack mentioned Martin's name to frighten John, she becomes furious. She confronts him. "You had no right to do that. First you scared Martin away, and now you're trying to do the same thing to John." Jack tries to defend himself, insisting it was just a joke, but Rosie isn't convinced. Angrily, she declares, "Tonight I'm inviting John over for dinner. You're going to apologize to him properly. Then we'll see what happens next." That evening, John arrives for dinner. The three of them sit down to eat. To an outsider, the situation would seem unbearably awkward. How can a seemingly caring husband sit calmly at the table knowing his wife is having an affair with the man across from him? After dinner, Rosie tells little Trixie, "Today your daddy is going to tell you a bedtime story." But in reality, she uses the storytelling time as an excuse to spend some private moments alone with John. Jack understands exactly what's happening, yet he says nothing. He reads Trixie a story, tucks her into bed quickly, and comes back downstairs. From the shadows, he watches Rosie and John together through a reflection in a mirror. Jealousy finally surges inside him. He storms into the kitchen and deliberately smashes a plate on the floor. Hearing the crash, Rosie hurries in and tells him sharp, "Bring John another drink, then go back to whatever you were doing." Jack obediently prepares another drink and brings it to John. Still shaken from the earlier conversation, John says nervously, "Don't you think you should apologize for that murder joke?" Jack's tone suddenly becomes cold and serious. "Actually, that wasn't a joke. I really did kill him. I smashed his head with a hammer until he stopped moving. Apologizing now won't bring him back." John freezes. Then, panic overtakes him, and he bolts from the house without another word. The big question remains, was Jack telling the truth about Martin, or was it just a cruel way to frighten John? We will soon find out. A few days later, Jack and his family attend another party with friends. There, Jack meets Mark, a writer and the husband of Jack's best friend Kelly. Mark is often away traveling for work. The two men begin talking. Mark asks what Jack does for a living. Jack replies modestly, "I'm mostly retired now, but I still take on small projects here and there. These days I mostly spend my time cycling." Then he casually mentions something that surprises everyone listening. Years ago, Jack developed a specialized microchip that is now used in military drone systems, greatly improving targeting accuracy. For the first time, many people at the party realize that Jack is not only a brilliant engineer, but also a very wealthy man. Yet despite his success and intelligence, Jack's personal life remains deeply unhappy, because no amount of money can replace the peace that comes from having a loyal partner. Later at the same party, Jack dances closely with his best friend Kelly. Watching them, Rosie feels a sharp pang of jealousy. A few days after that, while Trixie is playing with friends at school, Jack receives a call from his bank. He learns that Rosie recently transferred $3,000 to another account. When he asks for details, he discovers the money was sent to a man named Charlie, a live piano performer. Jack immediately understands. Rosie has found a new lover. Since John has already fled, she has moved on. One evening, Jack visits a restaurant where Charlie is performing live piano. He sees Rosie sitting there, clearly enjoying the music and the man playing it. Jack now knows for certain who the new man is. After this, Rosie begins coming home much later than usual, a clear sign that her relationship with Charlie is becoming serious. Jack feels the jealousy burning inside him, but this time he stays silent. Then one night, Rosie doesn't come home at all. The next morning when she finally returns, Jack confronts her angrily. "Where were you all night? You have a family. You have a 6-year-old daughter. Why are you transferring thousands of dollars to this man Charlie?" Rosie doesn't flinch. Instead, she calmly, almost tauntingly, tells him exactly where she was and who she was with, knowing full well that Jack's jealousy won't push him to leave her. She exploits that knowledge completely. The story continues at a pool party hosted by their friend Miles. Rosie invites Charlie. As soon as Charlie arrives, Rosie stays close to him. After introducing him to everyone, Charlie plays the piano for the group. Everyone, especially Rosie, is delighted and starts dancing. Jack watches it all with growing anger. Later, Rosie proudly introduces Charlie to Jack as "my new friend." Jack forces himself to make small talk with him. That night, while searching for Rosie in the house, Jack secretly witnesses her and Charlie sneaking out of a room together. It's obvious what they were doing. Afterward, everyone is swimming in the pool. Rosie and Charlie stay very close, laughing and enjoying each other. Jack's rage builds, but he can't act yet. Suddenly, heavy rain begins to fall. Everyone hurries inside one by one. Jack is the last to enter. Soon after, the group is eating and chatting indoors. Later, Rosie goes outside looking for Charlie. Moments later, she screams. She has found Charlie's dead body floating in the pool. Everyone rushes out, pulls him from the water, and desperately tries CPR. But Charlie is already dead. Panic spreads. The police arrive and begin questioning everyone. During the investigation, Rosie hysterically accuses Jack. "He killed Charlie. Jack did it." The others quickly point out that Jack came inside with the rest of them as soon as the rain started. There are no witnesses and no evidence against him. The police take Jack aside, ask a few questions, and eventually let him go. But after this incident, Rosie becomes even more distant from Jack. A few days later, while Jack is cycling, he thinks back to how he drowned Charlie in the pool in a blind fit of rage. He knows exactly what Rosie and Charlie were doing whenever they were alone. No one yet realizes that Jack is the one who has been quietly, brutally eliminating his wife's lovers. One morning, Jack drops Trixie off at school. As he's leaving, his friend Kelly approaches him nervously and says, "I'm not sure if I should tell you this, but after Charlie died, Rosie came to our house. She and my husband Mark hired a private detective to follow you. They're suspicious of you." That same evening, Jack invites Mark and Kelly over for dinner. After the meal, he takes Mark into a private room and warns him, "Stop believing everything my wife tells you, and stop having me followed by detectives. You were at the party that night too. Do you really think I killed Charlie?" Mark stays silent, but it's clear he's not convinced. As a writer, Mark is actually fascinated by the situation. He sees the potential to turn Jack's dark personal story into a gripping crime novel that could make him famous. How far he will pursue this dangerous curiosity remains to be seen. Sometime later, Jack discovers that Rosie has yet another new boyfriend, this time an old college friend named Tony. One day, Tony comes to their house to visit Rosie while Jack is home. The awkward situation is obvious to everyone. They all have dinner together. After dinner, Tony slips away to Rosie's room, and the two become intimate. Jack silently watches from the hallway. This time, Rosie catches him looking, making the moment intensely uncomfortable. The next day, Jack follows Tony by car. When the opportunity arises, he pulls up beside him and says casually, "Hey, I've been trying to reach you. Come on, I'll give you a ride." Tony gets into Jack's car, expecting to be taken to see Rosie. Instead, Jack drives deep into the forest, far from any houses or roads. When they stop, Tony asks why they're there. Without warning, Jack strikes Tony on the head with a large rock. Before Tony can recover, Jack hits him again with an even heavier stone. Tony collapses, tumbles into a ditch, and dies instantly. Jack checks to make sure he's dead, then ties a heavy stone to the body to weigh it down. While doing so, he finds Tony's wallet and keeps it. He drags the body to a nearby river and sinks it beneath the water, hoping it will never be found. The following day, Rosie and Trixie are preparing for a family picnic. Jack arrives home, and Rosie asks if he wants to join them. He agrees and asks where they're going. Trixie excitedly answers, "We're going to the forest side." When they arrive, Jack becomes visibly tense. This is exactly the area where he disposed of Tony's body in the river. her. While Rosie and Jack sit talking, she seems unusually happy. Trixie wanders off exploring with her dog. Suddenly, Trixie calls out that her dog won't move from the riverbank. Jack looks over and sees, to his horror, that Tony's body has begun to surface and is now partially visible. Panicking, he quickly makes an excuse and hurries his family away from the spot. Rosie mentions that she forgot her scarf there. Jack reassures her, "Don't worry, I'll come back tomorrow and get it for you." Later that night, Jack asks Rosie if Tony has called her. She says no, he hasn't contacted anyone in 2 days. Maybe he left, just like the others. Then she moves closer, hugs Jack, and asks softly if he will sleep in her room tonight. They usually sleep separately. That night, they become intimate for the first time in a long while. Early the next morning, Jack rides his bicycle back to the river alone. He tries desperately to push Tony's body deeper underwater using a long stick. Meanwhile, at home, Rosie enters Jack's private room, where he keeps his collection of snail specimens. After searching, she finds Tony's wallet hidden there. In that moment, she finally understands that Jack really has been killing her lovers. Back at the river, Jack is still struggling to hide the body when Mark suddenly appears and asks what he's doing there. Jack stammers excuses, but Mark steps closer and sees Tony's body in the water. Terrified, Mark runs to his car and speeds away. Jack jumps on his bicycle and chases after him, desperate to stop him from going to the police. Mark drives fast and pulls ahead. Jack takes a dangerous shortcut and manages to get in front of the car. In a sudden maneuver, Jack deliberately falls in the road. Mark swerves to avoid him, loses control, and the car plunges down a steep slope into the river below. Mark dies instantly in the crash. Back at home, Rosie, now fully aware of what Jack has done, decides to leave forever. She begins packing her things and Trixie's things. But Trixie runs in, throws everything into the swimming pool, and declares, "We're not going anywhere without Dad." Hearing her daughter's words, Rosie pauses. She realizes that leaving would destroy the family completely, and that is precisely why Jack has gone to such extreme lengths. In the end, she decides to stay. She burns Tony's wallet, destroying the last piece of evidence. The story closes with the same scene we saw at the beginning. Jack cycling home through the forest path. Rosie is sitting quietly on the stairs, watching him approach. Jack stops and asks gently, "What's wrong?" Rosie gives him a small, quiet smile, says nothing, stands up, and walks back into the house. The film ends there, but some families stay together, no matter the cost. Whose side are you on, Jack's or Rosie's? Comment below. Like if Jack scared you. Subscribe for more dark twists. Next story drops soon.